Hello everyone, you are watching video on Hibernate. This is the lecture number 4 of the Hibernate. In this lecture, we will learn how to make the first Hibernate program. So let us get started now. First we'll discuss software requirements to develop the Hibernate application. So if you want to follow the video, you need to install the Eclipse IDE on your PC. Then for the database, you install the MySQL 8. Next, in the Eclipse IDE, you need to install one plugin, that is JBoss tool. This JBoss tool plugin is installed so that we can make the Hibernate configuration file wizard, so that we can do the Hibernate configuration information entry using the user interface. If this plugin is not installed in your Eclipse, then you can go to the Eclipse marketplace in the help menu of Eclipse, and there you can search for the JBoss tool for the Hibernate, and then you can install it. Now we will discuss steps to develop Hibernate application. To make the Hibernate application, we will follow some of these steps, and these steps are written over here. Very first, we will make a Maven project. After this, we will do entry of Hibernate Maven dependencies in pom.xml file of the project. Next, we will create a bean class, that is Hibernate entity class, and write Hibernate annotations to map it with the database table. Then in the next step, we will create Hibernate configuration file, that is also known as a CFG file, for providing configuration information to the Hibernate. The file name we will keep hibernate.cfg.xml. In the next step, we will make main method to write the Hibernate code, and at the end we will run the program so that we can test it is working properly or not. So let us start now with the first step, that is making a Maven project. So open the Eclipse IDE now. When you open the Eclipse IDE, to make the Maven project, click on the file menu. In the file menu, select new option. After selecting the new option, you click on the Maven project. ये Maven project पे मैंने click किया. When you click the Maven project, you will get one window for creating the new Maven project. In this window, you have to check this checkbox. This checkbox where create a single project, skip archetype selection is written. After checking this checkbox, click on the next button. After clicking the next button, you will get one window in which you will provide all the requirement to develop the Maven project. So the very first you need to give the group ID. So provide the group ID here, like I am writing com.sergi. Here the group ID can be reverse of any domain name. Then provide the artifact ID, that is the jar file name for your project. Suppose I am giving it first app. Next, give the project name. I am giving the name first app. Then description for the project. If you want to write any description, you can write, like I am writing first Hibernate program. After doing the entry in this window, click on finish button. So the Eclipse has created Maven project. When you expand the Maven project, then you will get some of the folders in it. As we decided, after making the Maven project, we will do the entry in the pom.xml file. The pom.xml file you can see here at the end of your project. This is pom.xml file. So open the pom.xml file. Now do the entries over here, that is Maven dependencies for the Hibernate and MySQL. After doing the entry of the Maven dependencies and MySQL dependency in the pom.xml file, you save it so that the Maven will resolve all these dependencies offline or online. I have done the entries in the dependencies tag. First dependency for MySQL, second dependency for your hibernate, one more for hibernate, and one more dependency, Maven dependency we added over here, that is for the hibernate only. Right now we require only these two dependencies, hibernate core and hibernate entity manager, but later on we will discuss the cache strategy of hibernate, so that's why one more hibernate dependency entry is done by me in this project only. Okay, so as I told you, when you save it, your Maven project will resolve all these Maven dependencies online or offline. Now you just close the pom.xml file. After closing this file, the next step, as we decided, we will create the bean class that will go to the src main java folder. So you just click on the src main java folder, right click, select new option, and then select class, then specify the package name in which you want to keep the hibernate bean class. Suppose I am giving the package name com.surgery.entity, then write the class name, that is, let us suppose I am giving employee. After writing the class name, click on the finish button to make employee class. Now to make the employee class hibernate bean, first we need to do the entry of the properties here. So for that purpose I am writing here private int empid, one more property private string emp name, one more entry private float salary, one more entry private string dpt, one more last entry private date java.util.date, that is, let us say, hire date. So in the employee bean I have taken some of the properties, and the properties are empid, emp name, salary, department, and hire date. After making the properties, we need to make the constructor. First I will make the no argument constructor. To make the no argument constructor, click on the source menu, then click on generate constructor from superclass. Now click on the generate button. So here the constructor is created. Next I want to make one parameterized constructor so that data can be stored in the object easily. To make the parameterized constructor, again click on source menu, then select generate constructor using fields option. Make sure that all the fields are selected over here, and then click generate button. After making the parameterized constructor, we need to create the getter setter methods for all the properties. For that purpose, again click on the source menu, then click on the generate getter and setters option. Now we need to select all the properties. For that purpose, you can select on select all button. So all the properties are selected. Then you can click on the generate button. So the hibernate will generate all the setter getter methods over here. Now we need to override the toString method so that we can show the content of the object. To make the toString method, again you click on the source menu, then select the generate toString option. Make sure that all the properties are selected, and then click on the generate button. ToString method is overridden for us, but I want to modify it so that I can make the format a little bit simple. So let us do the formatting now. Okay, so the bean class is prepared now. The next step is, since we want to make it hibernate bean, for that purpose we need to use some of the hibernate annotations. So let us start writing the annotations here. Very first, this employee class should be hibernate bean class, and to make a class hibernate bean class, we need to use one annotation, that is @entity. So write @entity annotation with the employee class. Make sure that the @entity annotation should be from javax.persistent package. After writing @entity annotation, we need to map this employee entity with the database table. And suppose you want to specify the database table name, then you should use the annotation that is @table. So use the annotation @table here, and in @table there is attribute name, and in the name you write the table name, like I am writing EMP. So here @table annotation is used to specify the table name for the employee bean class, so that the employee bean object content will go to the EMP table. In the next step, now we need to make a property, the identifier property. For that purpose, we need to use one annotation, that is @ID annotation. So now with the EMP ID property, I am writing the @ID annotation, so that EMP ID will be the identifier property, and identifier property means the property that is created for the primary key column of the table, or in the other word you can say this EMP ID property will hold the value for the primary key column of the table. Now suppose you want to keep the column name same as the property name, then you do not need to do any entry. But suppose you want to keep the column name different from this property name, then you should use one annotation, that is @column. As I am writing here, @column, and in @column there is attribute name, and the name, now you specify the column name, that I am writing emp underscore id. So the primary key column name will be emp underscore id now for the emp id property. Next step, to specify the column name for the emp name property, you can use @column, and in this, in the name attribute, you can write the column name, emp underscore name. Same thing here. Suppose you want to give the different column name for the salary property, you can write the @column here. But now I decided that the salary property should have same salary column, so I do not need to write down @column here. Same thing is for the department. Here the property name is DPT. I want to keep the column name DPT only, so I do not need to write down this @column here. But at the end, for the hire date, I want to keep the different column name, then I need to specify it using the @column annotation. So let us write it. Name attribute, write the column name, that is hire date, hire underscore date. Okay. Now since hire date is of date type, and in the database the column may be of date type or time type, or maybe time stamp type. So if you want to specify the date type in the column, that can be specified using one annotation, that is @temporal. It means using the @temporal you can specify what type of column will be created. So @temporal annotation is used, and then here you write the type, and suppose I want to go for the date type, so I have given strategy, that is temporal type, date type. So these are the entries required in the your bean class. But you remember, compulsory properties are @entity and @id. Other annotation entries are optional. So on the basis of your requirement, you can decide that what annotation you want to use and what annotation you don't want to use. Now after completing the bean class, next step we need to create the CFG file, hibernate CFG file, and the hibernate CFG file is the XML file. So XML file will be created in the resource folder. Okay. So in our first app project, I am right clicking on the src main resource folder. After right click, you will get one window. In the window, you select new option. After selecting new option, you can click on the other option. When you click on the other option, in the select a wizard window, you will get the hibernate category. This hibernate category is available here just because we install the JBoss tool in our Eclipse. In case the JBoss tool is not installed, this hibernate category won't be available. In that case, you need to create the CFG file your own and you have to do the entry your own. Fine. So you can even the copy and paste the CFG file in the resource folder. So let us create the CFG file. Under the hibernate category, I'm selecting hibernate configuration file cfg.xml file. Then click on the next button. After clicking the next button, here the file name is given. Let the file name remain as it is, hibernate.cfg.xml, and then click on the next button. Now specify the hibernate version that you want to use. Next step, here we need to provide the database dialect. Since we are using the MySQL, so MySQL dialect entry should be done here. So let us select the MySQL. So dialect is selected. Next, driver class. So MySQL driver class name should be written. Since we are going for the MySQL 8, so the driver name will be com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. Then give the connection URL. So provide the connection URL here, that is jdbc colon mysql colon host. This is same as we did in the jdbc. So jdbc colon mysql colon / localhost, just because the MySQL is installed on the same PC. Otherwise you need to write down the IP address of the machine where MySQL is running. Then port number for your MySQL 3306. Then database name, in my case the database name is Sergey_Java. So database name is written. After doing the entry of the connection URL, provide the MySQL username, that is root in my case. Then the password, MySQL password should be given. Then click on the finish button. Now when you click the button, the CFG file is created. Now in this CFG file we need to do some entries. To do the entries, first select the properties from the session factory. First select the properties. Now expand it. When you expand the properties, you will get hibernate. When you click the hibernate, in the window you will get some of the options here. From these options, some of the entry should be done. Dialect is already written, so let it remain as it is. But one more entry is there, that is show SQL. Show SQL can be true. Okay, although there is no big significance of this show SQL. Reason being, show SQL is just used for the debugging purpose, because when you use the hibernate, the query will be generated by hibernate itself. So if you want to see the query that is generated by the hibernate in the console window, then you can keep the show SQL true, otherwise let it remain false only. Next, okay, there is a option that is HBM to DDL auto. Now here you should specify the DDL strategies provided by hibernate. First I am keeping it create. Actually there are 4: validate, update, create and create drop. We will discuss all these strategies in the next video, but right now you keep it create only. Actually the create is corresponding to drop DDL command and create DDL command. After doing this thing, let us move ahead, and that is you should select the mappings option now, so that you can provide the entity class. So when you select the mappings, you will get the wizard. In this wizard you will get the add button. you click on the add button. Now when you click the add button, you will get the mapping window. In the mapping window, after class, you will get the browse button. You click the browse button and specify the bean class that you created. So we created employee bean class, so select it. Okay, so com.survey.entity.employee class is selected. After selecting the class, you click on the finish button. This is what for the CFG file. Now in the CFG file, you can see the source tab. You click on the source tab so that you can check the entries that is done by you. Here when you click the source tab, then all the XML tag will be visible to you. Like here in the hibernate configuration tag, there is a session factory tag. In the session factory tag, actually you provide information to the hibernate using the property tag. In the property tag, driver class is written properly, com.mysql.cj.jdbc driver. Then hibernate connection password, root, URL is written here. Sometimes suppose you are using any advanced window version, window operating system I am talking about, then you should do this entry, use SSL equal false. Now the URL entry is done. Next step, username root is written, dialect entry is also written, so SQL true, HBM to DDL is create, and the bean entry is also done. So now the CFG entry is completed. In the next step, we will create the main method now. So let us create the main method. To make the main method in the main class, I am right clicking on the com.survey.entity package, selecting new, then class. You just pay attention student here. I would like to keep the main class in com.survey package, okay? Not in com.survey.entity package in which bean is stored, okay? Com.survey package. So com.survey package is selected. Then in the name I am writing main. Since I need the main method in it, so check on the checkbox so that the main method will be created by the Eclipse for you. Now click the finish button. Now in the main method we need to write down the hibernate code. So start writing the code. In the main method, very first you need to create the configuration object. So create it, org.hibernate.cfg package, cfg equal new configuration. This configuration is from the org.hibernate.cfg package. After creating the object, you need to call the configure method of this object. So call the method. So on the CFG configure method is called. That is again the configure method returns the configure object that is stored in the CFG reference. Now next you need to create the object of standard service registry builder. So from the suggestion window, I selected standard service registry builder. Give the reference variable name that I am giving as SRB equal new standard service registry builder. Now call its method, that is ssrb dot apply settings. Look here, apply settings method I am calling, in which one map will be taken as an argument. You call the method, that is cfg dot get properties. Next you get the standard service registry object. For that purpose you write standard service registry, variable name let us say ssr equal ssrb dot build. Now in the next step we will get the session factory object. For that purpose you write session factory sf equal cfg dot build session factory, and here you provide the service registry, standard service registry object. Then from the session factory you get the session object. To get the session object you write session, it should be hibernate session, s equal sf dot open session. Now start the transaction. For that purpose write transaction from the org.hibernate package. t equal as dot begin transaction. Now create the bean object whose content you want to save in the database. So we created the employee bean. So I'm making the employee object here. Employee emp equal new employee. Give the values 101. Then emp name Ram. Salary something. Then department. Let us say CS. Hire date. I'm giving the system date. So new date. After creating the object, we need to save it. For that purpose, I am calling the save method of session. For that I am writing as dot save emp. Then we need to commit the transaction. For that purpose, write t dot commit. Then close the session as dot close the session factory because we do not need it, so sf dot close. So this is the hibernate code we need to write down so that we can use the hibernate to save the employee bean record by calling the save method. Okay, so we are completed over here. Now before running the project, I will show you the MySQL. In the MySQL, here the survey underscore java database is shown to you. Now if I give the show tables command here, then there is no table shown over here. But when I run the Eclipse project, come back to the Eclipse, now run this main class, right click here, option run as Java application, and when you see the console window, look here, the existing emp table is dropped and the new table is created and in which data is inserted. So now we will move to the MySQL so that we can make sure the table is created or not. So here when I give the command show tables, so emp table is shown here. Then you just describe the emp table. Look here, the table is having column emp id, department, emp name, hire date and salary. And when you select the record will be shown here. Select star from emp and look here 101 cs ram and hire date and salary shown over here. So in this way we have seen that in the hibernate application we can save the object directly. When you save the object directly, the row will be created in the database table. Fine, and this is what we call ORM programming technique. So enough for this video. Here we learn how to make the first hibernate program. Thanks for watching this video.